Welcome to Guide Mia. Today we're going to talk about the lab admin role on Cympha. 3 names first, as in the other sessions. Guide Mia is the company. Cympha is the online platform your lab runs on. Guide Mia also makes the desktop design programs your technicians use, which are not part of this session. Our example is David, the admin at Apex Dental Lab. While Sophia routes cases and Maria designs them, David keeps the lab running underneath the settings, the services, the team, the billing and the client newsletters. It is the least visible of the 4 roles and quietly one of the most consequential, because almost everything the other 2 rely on every day was configured here. We will start with the one distinction that defines the whole job. Here is the shape of the role, and notice what this diagram is not. The other 3 sessions each follow a case from one end to the other, because those roles are steps in a case's life. Yours is not. What you are looking at is a set of areas you own: joining and being approved, the lab profile, the services and intake forms, the team, case oversight, billing and earnings, and client newsletters. They are areas rather than stages, and you move between them as the week demands rather than in a fixed order. That difference is the whole point of the role, and it is what new admins most often misread. You are not a lab manager with a different title, and you are not waiting for work to arrive. The lab's configuration is a standing responsibility, and most of it is invisible until it is wrong. This is the line that separates a lab admin from a lab manager, and it decides what you should and should not be doing. You configure, and you oversee. You are not in the case routing chain. Here is what that means with an example. A case has been sitting in submitted for 3 days. You can open it, read what happened, ask in the chat, and change its status to unstick it. What will not happen is Cympha handing that case to you and waiting for you to finish it. Assigning a designer, setting a price, refusing or canceling a case, those stay with the lab manager. One clarification, because the shorthand version of this is slightly wrong. It is not that a case can never be yours. Your manager can hand you one deliberately. What never happens is a case landing on you automatically because it reached a particular status, the way one lands on a designer when it is assigned. That is not a limit on your authority. It is what lets the lab keep running on the days you are not at your desk. Sign up at app.cympha.com, choose Lab Admin on the role screen, and enter your lab manager's email address so you join the right lab. Like a designer, you start pending until the lab manager approves you on their team page, and until then your sidebar will look sparse. That is expected rather than a fault. Take the role choice seriously, because a role cannot be changed afterwards from your account. If you pick the wrong one, you will need Cympha support to sort it out. This is a senior account, so it is worth being deliberate about who holds it. Once approved, you own the lab's configuration, the profile, the services and order forms, the team, the newsletters, and the earnings view. 2 exceptions worth knowing before you go looking for them, because both will be visible and neither will be yours. How clinics pay the lab is set by the lab manager. And completing onboarding, the action that publishes the lab into clinic search, is also theirs. The reasoning is straightforward. Both are commitments the business owner should make personally, one about money and one about going live. You will see the payment settings on the lab page, you just will not have an edit button beside them. Everything else in the lab setup is yours to change whenever it needs changing. My lab is the public face of the business, and it is what a clinic reads before deciding whether to send you anything at all. Keep the name, address and contact details current, which is obvious. The part that deserves real attention is the introduction, because that is the piece doing the persuading. Write what you design, the sort of customer you typically work with, and what your turnaround genuinely is. A doctor comparing 2 labs is reading for specifics, and general enthusiasm reads as no information at all. Nothing on this page is permanent, so treat it as something you revisit each quarter rather than something you fill in once and never look at again while the turnaround times on it slowly stop being true. Nothing else you do in this role has as much effect as this, so let me explain why rather than just assert it. Your order form is the paper or PDF form your lab has always sent clients. Upload it here and Cympha reads it once and builds the web intake form doctors fill in, and the fields the AI extracts on every case. When a case arrives, that same information prints as the lab slip for the bench. 1 document, 3 shapes. So this upload sets the accuracy of your intake for months. A clean, current form means cases arrive right. A stale one, with services you dropped 2 years ago, means somebody correcting the same field on every case forever. On pricing, each service is one of 2 kinds: fixed, where the doctor sees a price and pays it, right for work that is always the same, or flexible, where you quote per case once you have seen what arrived. Use preview form to see exactly what a doctor sees before you leave it. Preview is the habit to build. It is easy to maintain a service list that makes sense to you and produces something confusing for a doctor who does not work in your lab. Looking at the form the way they see it, including the checklist of files you expect, catches that in a minute. If your lab's cases routinely arrive missing a particular file, this page is usually both the reason and the fix. Before you approve anybody, know what you are approving, because the role someone picks decides what reaches them afterwards. A designer receives assigned cases and does the design work. A case intaker receives incoming cases and checks that what arrived is complete. A manufacturing engineer holds the printing and milling. Shipping stays with the lab manager or an operational member. Lab manager routes cases and assigns designers. Lab admin, you, configures the lab and can see everything. An aligner bot is not a person at all, it is an account for the AI that designs aligner cases, sitting in front of a workstation in your lab. When a request comes in, check the role against what that person actually does, because changing it afterwards is not something they can do themselves. You have the same team controls the lab manager has. People join by signing themselves up with your manager email, so there is nothing to send and nothing to expire. They appear as a request and you approve them. Two different actions matter for the other direction, and they are not the same thing. Toggle a membership off when someone is away, on leave or between contracts, and you want them back later, their history stays attached. Remove them when they have gone for good. Either one stops access immediately, so if you are unsure, toggle off today and remove later. And do it the day it happens. This is exactly the kind of housekeeping nobody notices until an account belonging to nobody still has access to your client's patient cases. You can open the case queue and see everything in it, whatever state it is in and whoever holds it. If a case is stuck, you can read the activity log to work out why, join the chat, or change the status to free it. The useful habit, though, is to use the queue to spot the shape of problems rather than to fix them one at a time. If the same client's cases keep bouncing back for changes, that is probably an intake form problem, which is yours to fix. If cases sit in submitted for 2 days, that is a triage capacity problem, which is the lab manager's. Oversight is most valuable when it turns individual annoyances into a cause somebody can actually address. One limit worth knowing: a genuinely wedged case, one that needs an override past the normal status list, may still need the lab manager. My Earnings is the accounting side of the lab and it is your page. Every paid case is broken down into what was charged, what the card processing took, what Cympha's fee was, and what is actually yours. That platform fee is 8%, plus the Stripe fee for handling the card. You can filter by date range and export a CSV, which is what your bookkeeper will ask for. Now the timing, stated properly, because getting it wrong makes you chase people who are not late. A case becomes payable 15 days after it is paid, and it settles in the next monthly payout run. So 15 days is when it becomes eligible, not when the money lands. In practice, the wait is somewhere between about 2 weeks and 6, depending where in the month the case falls. And the one action that has to happen once, the lab's bank details go to billing@cympha.com by email. There is no field for them in settings. If you are joining a lab that has been running a while, check that on your first day rather than assuming somebody did it. The last area is growth rather than administration, which makes it the one most likely to be left undone in a busy month. Newsletters emails the clinics that have actually submitted a case to your lab. That is worth being precise about, because it is not a mailing list of everyone who has ever signed up. A clinic that registered and never sent you anything will not receive it. So this is a channel for deepening relationships you already have, not for winning new ones. The limit is 5 cents per lab per day, so a large announcement needs planning rather than being fired off on the afternoon somebody thinks of it. Pair it with onboarding new clients, who find your lab by the manager email, and the two together are how the lab's client list actually grows. You have seen 7 areas and you will not do them all today, so here is the order I would take in your first week. Day 1, check the bank details actually reached billing@cympha.com, because if they did not, money is accruing with nowhere to go. Day 1 as well, open preview form on every service and look at what a doctor sees. Day 2, read the team roster and remove anyone who has left. That week, rewrite the introduction on the lab page if the turnaround time on it is no longer true. After that, this becomes quarterly maintenance rather than daily work. That is the shape of the role: you own configuration, you have full visibility, and you are deliberately outside the routing chain, so the lab keeps moving whether or not you are at your desk. The interactive version of this walkthrough is at cympha.com/onboarding. The lab manager session covers the case routing that deliberately sits outside this role, and there are companion sessions for your designers and for the doctors who send you work, all following the same case.